Hi, welcome to another edition of Senator Kissel and Friends. I'm your host, State Senator John Kissel, serving the fabulous people of Enfield, Somers, Suffield, Windsor, Windsor Locks, East Granby, and Granby. Mrs. Taylor, this is for you. Cindy, Nathaniel, and Tristan, I will be home shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just, and we're actually still a little bit in the middle of it, gone through one of the biggest surprise storms to hit Connecticut, the Halloween nor'easter. They call it Alfred. We're just sort of getting out of the first week of people without power. As we tape this, I know there's people in Enfield and Somers and Suffield and Windsor Locks and Windsor and East Granby and Granby, all the towns in my district, there are still people without power. And so we are just praying that the power gets restored. Hopefully by Wednesday, 100% is the latest estimation, but a lot of the damage is really amazing and tragic, and we have to get through it. And the impact that it has on our normal day-to-day lives, our jobs, our businesses, our families, just double that or triple that if you're struggling when things are going great. And I have got some angels on my program to talk about some of these issues tonight. There's no other way to describe you guys. You're doing God's work and you do it happily. But we're talking about one of the basic necessities. If you have power and you have a little bit of heat, you need to have something in your stomach. And so we're going to talk about a little bit about food in this holiday season. So I have some wonderful guests to my left. Priscilla Brayson of Enfield Loaves and Fishes. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you for inviting us.
And to Priscilla's left, Murray Brayson. Thank you for being on the program.
Thank you for having us, John.
And to Murray's left, Linda Bridge, Enfield Food Shelf, always out there advocating. Now, I'm going to start with you, Priscilla. We've just gone through 10 days or so of lack of power in Enfield, real struggle for everybody. How has this impacted Loaves and Fishes, and what's the important message that we need to send out there right now?
Well, it impacts the soup kitchen to the point where the community came to the soup kitchen to eat, and we had no power. You had to use a flashlight to get into the back room. And but what we did, we opened up some beef stew. Thank God we had a gas stove. We heated up the beef stew. We made bologna sandwiches and ham sandwiches, and they came into the kitchen and we fed. One of the days we had 185 people that we brought in through the day, and for the meal, they could sit there for a while, get warmed, and pitch in and help. And we lost our power on Saturday night at 4:30, and the fire department was absolutely wonderful. Thompsonville Fire Department, I can't say enough about them. I went to them and I asked them for floodlights, generator, and they gave us light. And the light allowed us to go into the stock room and get the foods that we needed so we could continue to feed and for the people to be able to see what they were eating. We've lost a lot of the food because we couldn't keep it,
At the right temperature.
At the right temp for long periods of time, so we've had to throw that out. We're in desperate need of many of the products like milk, eggs, butter, cheese.
And let's just jump right to the chase. How can, if somebody is watching right now and they say, these guys are doing God's work and there's hundreds of people that use this service every week, and you know what, I'm going to go to the store tomorrow and buy double my milk and double my eggs. How can they get that to you? What's the best way for people to respond?
They can come to 28 Prospect Street and deliver themselves, meet me. And
what time?
From 10 in the morning to 6 in the evening.
Okay, and maybe our crack crew of volunteers can throw up maybe a website or something having to do with Loaves and Fishes, and then we're going to go right over to Linda because she's got an important message she's got to start getting out too. There we go, EnfieldLoavesandFishes.com. And is there a phone number, or just look up Priscilla Brayson in the phone book?
Well, it would be 860-741-0226.
Okay. If I know Enfield and North Central Connecticut, people are going to respond. That's just the way our neck of the woods is. It's in fact, people from throughout the rest of Connecticut say, you guys are incredibly community spirited, and they're sometimes a little envious as to what rabbits we can pull out of a hat. Linda, the food shelf. I remember right when the storm hit, you were communicating through newspapers and any other form of media that you were very much concerned as to what we were facing. How did the food shelf weather the storm, if at all, and what are your needs and how can people help?
Unfortunately, I had to make a historical decision. Since we opened in 1968, we've never, ever, ever had to close for the week, but I had to decide that that's what we had to do. We couldn't get our truck delivery from Food Share, so we wouldn't have enough food to be able to even open up. So I had to close, and it broke my heart. I did, once we had power and I could leave a message on the machine, however, I would tell people if they needed emergency food, they could call me and come down and get it. And I did help 2 families that came down for that. So I was nervous before the storm, though, about Thanksgiving coming.
Right.
So now with this lost week in November, it's like now I feel like we're really starting out behind the 8 ball. But again, I do believe our community can really, they always come together. Whenever we ask for help, they always help us.
Well, and especially, I mean, with so many people in Enfield and Somers and Suffield and Windsor Locks and Windsor and again, East Granby, every town that I represent out of power. I mean, as much as they have that community spirit, when they can't even get to work, where the children don't have school, where there's huge supermarkets not even open, yeah, there's not a lot they can do. But as we get through this, people, I believe, are going to recognize that the small necessities of life are so critical.
Right.
And you know what? That's sometimes the silver lining out of all of this is that things that we took for granted, now when we see that somebody else doesn't have a turkey for Thanksgiving, doesn't have, you know, just the barest necessities, I think people are going to respond. And so, again, what are you looking to do short term and long term? And I think Thanksgiving's only about 3 weeks away.
Exactly.
And that's when we tape this, so as the show airs throughout November, our viewers are going to know it's getting closer and closer.
It's getting very close, and that's it. We have our freezer trailer. We just got delivered on Wednesday so that we have the storage space for the turkeys. Now we just need the turkeys to start rolling in. We're anticipating needing at least 500 for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Because our numbers at the food shelf on a regular basis, we've been averaging over 400 families every week. So, and the holidays always bring more families. So we're thinking 500 for Thanksgiving. So we've got a lot of work to make up for here. And I know times are tough though everywhere. They're tough for everybody, and I understand that. So it's, again, we've never ever been let down, ever. And when we get to that desperate stage again, all I really need to do is just ask the community for help, and they'll come through for us.
But with that lost week, are you anticipating the folks that you weren't able to serve last week, their cupboards are getting to be very bare?
Yes.
So now as you roll into this second week of November, people are going to be saying,
I have a double truck coming from Food Share tomorrow. I had to double order on so much stuff so that I would be able to help these people replenish. Plus, I'm trying to work a deal out with the Social Services Department about allowing families that aren't even clients of ours at the time that still need food to be able to come down and get some of this emergency food. Food Share also came through. Feeding America donated a trailer full of disaster relief food to them. So, and they're allowing us to get that from Food Share. Microwavable beef stew, like Priscilla had said, and other kind of dishes, and things that we'll be able to give out to people so they can replenish their supplies.
And is that for a week or two? And I guess what you're talking about is someone who, they lost power for many days, threw out everything in their refrigerator, they don't have a lot of stuff in their cupboard, and they may not meet the income qualifications, but they don't have anything right now, and they need something to get to the next paycheck or something like that.
That's what we're looking at. Yes.
So you're going to have hundreds of people in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about Wednesday
You
morning
can do
at
it.
9
You
o'clock.
can do it.
It's like, okay, yes, yeah.
You're nervous about this Wednesday morning.
This Wednesday morning coming, and we open at 9, and I just have a funny feeling that the line usually goes out around the building normally I'm thinking we might be wrapping around a couple of times on Wednesday morning.
But the time that I stopped there last year
mm-hmm.
to help out a little bit, you had tons of volunteers, and I'm
Yes,
guessing
and we
that you still
do.
have that strong volunteer
we have a great
base.
group of volunteers. They're fabulous. Anytime again, I can call them up and say, "Get in here, we need help." So
And you would accept financial donations, and you're hunting 500 turkeys.
right, at least for Thanksgiving, because what we do is we continue collecting between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so that we have turkeys to give out at Christmas as well. So we keep the freezer trailer until after Christmas, so we just kind of keep accumulating. Like last year, we got 1,005 turkeys, so we had enough to go through both holidays. It was beautiful. This year, again, with the times, our financial donations are down, and again, understandable. And then the food donations, we'll be seeing what's gonna happen now with November coming along here when people can get back to normal.
Okay.
But they can, and again, we have a website that has all the information that you ever would need. It's the infieldfoodshelf.org. And if they have any other questions, the phone number is 860-741-7321 that they can call and ask any questions. The good news is, too, we're going to be open the weekend before we distribute our turkeys to our families. The 19th and 20th, Saturday and Sunday, will be open from 9 to 4 for people to bring in donations during the weekend, because we distribute on the 21st and the 22nd.
Well, God forbid we have any storms those days.
No.
My prediction is ice storm. January, February.
Well, let's make it January.
Yeah, it's going to be 3
please.
on a match, and we've got one more huge epic event coming our way as a state. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
know.
I hope I'm wrong. But it's been an incredible 2 months along the way.
For sure.
Priscilla Murray.
Yes, sir.
Outreach for loaves and fishes.
Well,
Or something that's happened in the last couple of weeks that reaffirmed your belief that this is a wonderful mission, and so that people know the good works that you guys are doing.
well, I think one thing that I'd like to say is that, we live in the most wonderful country in the world, and I think Enfield is the most wonderful town in the world.
I have
really
7
do.
towns, so just remember.
I really do. People here are generous. They're willing to give of themselves. When this tragedy happened, when this week happened, when we had the snow and lost power and so forth, it was a surprise to many, and it brings a reality with it that we depend on electricity a lot, and we may have gotten used to a softer life, but with the power outage and no heat, no electricity, you can't run to the fridge and get something and cook it on the stove. It makes us more aware of people that many times have no food, and it raises our awareness to reach out to people and to feel the pain that some people feel, and it also brings up a beautiful, generous feeling in other people that are willing to give and give of themselves, to volunteer, to raise their hand and say, yes, I'll help you. So I think that's one of the greatest things that may have come out of this, is that people realize that there is a real great value to life, and we can help our friends and our neighbors.
Absolutely.
And just step out, do whatever you have to do to make it wonderful for people again.
So there you go. Still waters run deep. Murray, you nailed it right there. God sort of, we wonder why we go through trials. And when you're in the midst of one, it's no fun at all. And some people, especially if it's life-threatening, that's horrific. But if we get through with hopefully not too much property damage, and we get our power eventually back on and get the heat, I think, Murray, God sort of made us step in somebody else's shoes for a little bit.
Right.
And now we know what that's like.
Yeah.
And I will say this, you do feel really good when you give either a donation or of yourself. You just walk away, and it's not the prideful or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, there's something about it. Obviously, you guys have that feeling because you give of yourself all the time. and there's something within you that compels you to continue to do it. But the fact that you can just take someone's life and change it in a little positive direction is a good thing. So back to the loaves and fishes, segueing.
We're going to have a food drive the 19th and 20th at ShopRite to try to help us replenish and also to help us for the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we're encouraging people to help us through that
Is
way.
that Saturday and Sunday? the
That's
same
Saturday
day?
and Sunday.
That's right.
Yeah,
So they
it's
can
the
go,
same.
so they can
Yeah.
drive, they can, all right, so there's two
Right.
things going on that
Right.
weekend.
Right.
And another thing I'd like to say is that I can stretch a dollar further than you can. I can get 5 pounds of food for $1. It's a maintenance fee that we pay at Food Share. So, you might be able to buy a can of peas for $1.49, where I could buy perhaps 6-7 pounds of food, and it could be Hamburg, toilet paper, or whatever. So I can stretch money further. So think about
So people shouldn't hesitate to
donating.
make a financial donation.
Absolutely.
It's just as cool, just as great, just as impactful as a bag of groceries, and in some
Right.
respects, you can leverage even more.
Absolutely. If you have the money, you can buy a variety of things than a whole lot of peas or a whole lot of string beans. It works out a lot better.
And I think, and this is going to be at ShopRite,
This will be at ShopRite.
and this is one of our wonderful new corporate citizens, the Miller family.
Yes.
And so,
And they
great big-
volunteer. They volunteer at the soup kitchen too, which is really, really nice.
So big shout out, thumbs up to the Miller family. Nothing against all the other great corporate citizens and businesses that we have in Enfield
Right.
and North Central Connecticut, but it's awfully nice of them to do that.
Absolutely.
Now, Linda, leveraging a dollar and utilizing food share and other things like that, is it pretty much the same message?
It actually, very much so. Yes, and that it's kind of hard because sometimes people will say, "Well, do you want money or do you want food?" And always, if it's kids, I always say food because they need to have that tangible thing in front of them.
You mean like teenagers or young people?
Yeah.
It's like,
And
Well,
when
yeah,
they're-
because you want to get,
Yeah, and when they're older, the adults, I'll say, actually, just exactly what Priscilla just said. My buck goes a lot further than your buck does, and so if you can donate financial, that would be great too.
So people shouldn't hesitate. I mean, because I know that maybe a lot of adults might say, I really want to bring a bag of groceries, but I don't know if I can scramble around. People are pulled in a million directions. There's absolutely nothing bad about writing a check or throwing $20
No, it's very helpful.
into your hand.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
That can actually be just as good, if not better. We don't want people not to bring in the turkeys and the bags of groceries, but still.
Yeah.
It works good both ways.
Both ways.
Yes, it does.
And so
yes.
if you're super busy and you just can fly by and you see Linda, boom, take you about 2 minutes and it's just as effective. But any way to make this work is a good thing.
That's for sure.
Any stories that you've come across over the last?
Well, as far as the food shelf goes, I call it the miracle because I still can't believe that it happened. Because Monday night, we still don't know what it was. It was a fluke of a fluke of a fluke. But we got power for 5 hours on Monday night at the food shelf, out of the clear blue sky.
Last Monday night?
Yes, last Monday night. And my freezers, right then, Tuesday, I was going to be going in and having to get rid of everything. But they came on that night at 7:30, and it stayed on for 5 hours. So it rebooted all the freezers. Our freezers were packed solid, so everything was still hard and solid and frozen. And with those 5 hours of time that came from I don't know where, it saved all of it. I didn't have to throw 1 pound of meat out.
Wow, that is a miracle.
It's the miracle.
Because there wasn't anything else really on down there in that section
No,
of town.
I got a call. One of my guy that helps me out down there called me up. He goes, "You're not going to believe this. The power's on." And I said, "Oh, yay!" And then he called me and said, "The power's off." I said, "Okay, everything worked out fine."
Wow.
It really is amazing, John. Really.
Yeah, that's a little spooky
It
amazing
is spooky.
in
I
a good
know.
way. In
I
a good
know.
way.
I know.
Holy Spirit working through the electric lines.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah,
The
interesting.
miracle at 96 Alden Avenue.
Yeah, hey, that would make a good movie.
Yes, it
It'd
would.
be a made-for-TV movie, but it would be a good movie.
Right.
Okay, but I can't top that. That's all right. We should just end the show right there. I can't top that. But But above and
It's so
beyond that,
true.
how about stories about human compassion and maybe people doing things that were unexpected that you've encountered maybe in the last year or so?
Oh gosh, so many of these things come up, and usually I start getting really emotional when I start talking about some of the things just out of the clear blue sky that come out. You know, recently we've had Weight Watchers had this huge food drive, and they brought us down, 770 pounds of food, and then we had the Shaker Pines Fire Department did their Terror in the Pines. And even though they got blown away on the Halloween weekend, but they had 3 weeks prior to that,
Sure.
they brought us down 816 pounds of food for a collection. And all this stuff is just things that they come
People
up and
just-
do it on their own and
So
start
thumbs
having
up to
them.
Weight Watchers and Shaker Pines Fire Department.
Pines, and I tell you, there's been so many of them too that just show up at my back door and start unloading their vehicle, and I'm just standing there in total amazement.
So-
or walk in and handing me a check that I really start crying.
So if somebody's out there and you want to organize your own little mini event, it doesn't have to be
It doesn't.
800 pounds of food, but
Exactly.
if you have a community group or even just a neighborhood, or even if you're a bunch of teenagers watching my show because you don't have school tomorrow because regular public schools don't start till Wednesday, come up with something fun
Yeah,
to do.
they're very
Get some
easy to
food or raise
do.
a little bit of money,
Yeah.
and Linda would
It
appreciate
helps
it,
out
and Priscilla and
everywhere,
Murray
yeah.
would
They
appreciate
can
it.
come down and volunteer at the soup kitchen.
Okay, now we're going to segue over here to volunteer action at the soup kitchen.
Absolutely.
One of the things that you chatted with me about, and we're down to about 7 minutes, so I want to
Okay.
make sure you get all your plugs in before they give us the sign. But you said that you really make an effort to try to draw in young people. By the way, I've seen a lot of young people
Yes.
at the food shelf too. But explain what you're trying to do by getting them to volunteer.
Well, when the young people come to the soup kitchen, it brings awareness to them that, I got it pretty good at home. And especially when they see that the people in need and they're serving the people in need, it gives them a new awakening and more of an appreciation for their home life. I encourage the young people to come to the soup kitchen, not only to volunteer, but also it helps them for an awareness that there are people out there that are very much in need, and that if ever they need to use a soup kitchen down the road themselves, I try to encourage them to sit down and eat and join us. And the reason for that is that what if one day they need to use a soup kitchen? Then they'll remember, gee, it wasn't that bad. And, take that stigma out of there
And isn't it?
come.
And isn't it? I mean, sometimes people have the stereotypical notion that certain people down on their luck utilize these services, and that they're always at that rung. Whereas, I like to learn from both of you isn't the higher proportion folks that just happen to hit a spot in their life,
Yes.
and they need that bridge,
A little help.
that little help.
That little
but
help.
then a year later, everything's okay again, or
Yeah.
6 months later. What's it like at Loaves and Fishes? And then Linda, I'll ask you the same question.
It's the same thing. When they get back on their feet, they help the soup kitchen. Like when we were struggling, we knew that we were going to lose the soup kitchen because they were planning on selling it. Well, a fellow who used it for a lot of his life, he was in and out of homelessness, and when he found out that we weren't going to have a soup kitchen, his father willed him some money, so he gave us $50,000 for a down payment.
And that's a little miracle too.
Well,
isn't it?
absolutely.
That's a major
Yeah.
miracle.
So, people do give back. Once they get up on their feet and they're so happy that you help them, they turn around and they give the goodness back to you like this gentleman did.
That's awesome. And Linda, a couple things. I've seen a lot of young people, not only from Enfield, but Summers and Suffield
they
and other
come from-
communities coming to help out.
They do.
And so I think that you make an effort to try to bring in the young people.
We definitely do.
As
yes.
well as
Senior citizens, retired people, yes. Well, I was just going to mention too that recently the people that I've been seeing coming in, we average 20 new families a week signing up to get food. And the majority of them now are people whose unemployment benefits have run out.
okay.
And they still don't have a job. And they still have to feed their families.
But at the same time, I'm sure that every week you see people that used to be there for a period of time now they don't need your services, and I bet you they have the same spirit of wanting to give back or thank you for helping me
And
through
when you
that.
hear the old saying, when they'll come in to sign up to get food, they go, "We used to donate."
Yeah.
That's I've been hearing that a lot. We used to donate to you, and now we need your services. And I've said that's what we're here for.
And we're down to about 3.5 minutes, and I want to make sure that everybody plugs. And it's got and part of what you guys do is by making, I wouldn't say light of it, but being very open about it and warm and loving and embracing, is that sort of pride thing where people have to sort of gulp a little bit. It hurts. It hurts a
course it
little
hurts.
bit. And it's like so many of these things are not the person's fault or anything like that. We got horrible economy and bad luck and all sorts of things. And look at this. I mean, giant storm out of the blue around Halloween, and an entire state's life cycle has been devastated and thrown awry, and there's some significant damage associated with this. So before they tell us to wrap it up, Linda, if you could plug what you want to plug right now, that would be fabulous.
Sure. If anybody could donate a 15-pound turkey, 12 to 15-pound turkey, and bring it down to the food shelf, we have plenty of space to store it. And any of the holiday meal items, because we give out a whole Thanksgiving dinner. And we'll be doing that on the 21st and the 22nd. So we'll have our doors open, and you'll see flyers around town, hopefully giving you all the information about it. But it's also all on our website too, the enfieldfoodshelf.org.
Okay, and are there certain times they can bring the turkeys down, or?
Yes. Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 9 to 4, and
Okay.
Thursdays from 12 until 6:30.
Okay, so
Yeah.
good to give a call, get the information.
Yes.
You don't want to be having a big turkey and the door's locked because
Right,
it's the wrong day. or
Plus, I
something
have
like
it on
that.
our message machine, so
Awesome.
they call.
Great.
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
and Priscilla and Murray, final message regarding loaves and fishes.
And also, if you don't want to donate a turkey, we certainly will welcome a ham or beef or anything, because there are other meals that we need to plan for in the future.
And Murray.
Well, through all this, I'd like to especially thank the fire department, the Thompsonville Fire Department, and certainly Big Y for pulling us out of a jam when the freezers weren't working, and we just had to do something.
So there we go. A plug for Big Y too.
Yes.
Absolutely, and
Diane
they were
Bakery.
wonderful. And Diana's Bakery.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Well.
Thank you.
My pleasure, and we're going to get this information out there tonight and then throughout the month of November. Think about your brothers and sisters in our community that don't have food. They may have their power up and running, a roof over their head, but now nothing's in the cupboard, nothing's in the fridge, nothing's in their stomach. I know Enfield and North Central Connecticut will respond. I'm your host. I want to thank Priscilla Brayson and Murray Brayson from Enfield Loaves and Fishes. And Linda,
Thank you.
here we go.
Senator. Thank you.
Enfield Food Shelf. John, come on. I'm your host, State Senator John Kissel, serving the wonderful people of Enfield, Somers, Suffield, Windsor, Windsor Locks, East Granby, and Granby. And I know that there's food needs in all of the communities in North Central Connecticut, so seek out those groups that are providing that. And if you're in Enfield, here's two wonderful organizations that are just doing a fabulous job. Like I said, 3 angels doing God's work. Mrs. Taylor, that's for you. Cindy, Nathaniel, and Tristan, love you very much. I'll be home soon. Folks, we're going to get through this, and we're going to be better off for it, learn our lessons as a state, and help one another going forward into this holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.